What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. Hope all is well wherever you are. We hope you're happy, safe, healthy. And this is a bit of a weird week for the Cowboys, all right? It's the final week of the preseason, and so that in and of itself makes it not exactly the most glamorous thing. In fact, the third preseason game now, that there's only three, is maybe the most underwhelming. It's football. It's real. It's going to be a game played at AT&T Stadium where the Cowboys are going to wear their uniforms and run out the tunnel and all that stuff. But it is the final bit of action before the regular season. So we know that teams take it slow. Mike McCarthy's already said that they're really not going to play any starters. Obviously, we're not going to see the big time players and whatnot. And so that makes the week a little bit weird. What's added to the weirdness, what's made it all the more weird, is the fact that the Cowboys are having their practices at the Star in Frisco, but late at night. They are streaming them live on DallasCowboys.com. We certainly encourage you to go watch those. They do fantastic work at the mothership. In fact, their Tuesday practice happened in parallel with our roundtable show here on the YouTube channel. So given the fact that, look, this is how the sausage gets made. We got to make these videos and stuff during the day sometimes. We got stuff going on. I got a kid. You know what I mean? Like, there's all sorts of stuff happening. So the days for the Cowboys this week are a little bit boring. Let's just be straight up about it. I hope you watch this video. I hope you like and subscribe and whatnot. But that makes the days a little bit boring. Next week will be all kinds of crazy as the Cowboys finalize their 53-man roster. But something kind of came up that I wanted to talk about, discuss. You and I appreciate everybody who hangs out here. Just wanted to kick this around and kind of think it out loud. The Amari Cooper situation. Now, look, I don't want to relitigate things, but this was kind of a talking point on Wednesday on Twitter.com. And look, this is what happened. So the Philadelphia Eagles last week, in case you missed it, traded away wide receiver J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. All right, now on Wednesday, this was kind of a two-part trade. It wasn't necessarily thought out to be that way, but the Eagles ultimately, effectively traded away J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, who's now on the Seattle Seahawks, by the way, and a 7th-round pick that they sent to the Tennessee Titans in the second part of this trade, and received a 6th-round pick. So all told, the Philadelphia Eagles gave up J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, who is not anywhere near the talent of Amari Cooper, and a 7th-round pick. 7th-round pick, and received a 6th-round pick. So they've effectively upgraded that 7th-round pick to a 6th-round pick. That was the cost of moving away J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. This, of course, brings back memories, as things are going to for a little bit, just because it's still somewhat fresh, of Amari Cooper. In case you don't remember, the Cowboys traded away Amari Cooper and a draft pick. Yes, that part always gets lost in the discussion around this. The Cowboys sent Amari Cooper and their 6th-round pick to the Cleveland Browns in exchange for a 5th-round pick and Cleveland's 6th. So Dallas did move up in the 6th round, but they swapped 6th-round picks and received that 5th-round pick in exchange for Amari Cooper. So, look, I don't want to just sit here and rehash this thing, but this is something that I think needs to be talked about. We're all fans of this team, and we're going to see how Amari Cooper plays with the Cleveland Browns this season. We're going to see how the Cowboys wide receiver group looks this season. And so it is a big storyline, especially as we look at the Cowboys wide receiver group right now with Michael Gallup. We don't know what's going to happen. He was not placed on the reserve PUP list on Tuesday, which is a good sign. We'll see if they wind up going down that road next week. But Michael Gallup's going to miss some time. James Washington's going to miss some time. Jalen Tolbert had maybe his best practice as a member of the Cowboys on Tuesday, and that's really positive. But this team's starting wide receivers in about 2 weeks when they play the Buccaneers are going to be CeeDee Lamb, Simi Fehoko, and Noah Brown. And all due respect to Simi Fehoko and Noah Brown, that's not exactly something that makes you feel good. This team would be in a much better position if they had Amari Cooper. So really the question you have to ask yourself is if it's worth it or not. All right, the 5th-round pick that the Cowboys received, they used on Matt Waletzko, who did practice on Tuesday, to his credit. We'll see if he is competitive for the swing tackle job in Dallas. And the 6th-round pick that they swapped with the Browns, remember we just talked about that, went to Devin Harper, who is probably going to make this team as well. So, you can argue if it's worth it in that respect, but I think it's important to look at all of the wide receiver trades that have happened over the course of the offseason in the NFL. So this is courtesy of Spotrac, if we could get that to load. What you're looking at here is every single trade in the NFL this offseason. This is not it. We have a few different slides. There aren't just 4, but all of the trades in the NFL that involved veteran wide receivers. You can see down there at the very bottom, the Cowboys sent their 5th-round pick and the 6th that we talked about to Cleveland. Sent Amari and a 6th-round pick to Cleveland in exchange for a 5th and a 6th-round pick. Okay, we dealt with that for a little while. Then, just one day later, as you can see, the dates are here. Spotrac does a great job of tracking all this. The Green Bay Packers sent Davante Adams to the Las Vegas Raiders. They got a 1st and a 2nd-round pick. And the conversation around this all along has been all about how Amari's not Davante Adams, Amari's not Tyreek Hill. We're going to get to that in a second. I'm not saying that he is Davante Adams or Tyreek Hill, but he is certainly better than J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. And right now, his value, at least his perceived value, is much closer to that end of the spectrum. If we continue going, 2 days later, as the offseason was moving along, the L.A. Rams sent Robert Woods, who didn't play in the Super Bowl, to the Tennessee Titans in exchange for a 6th-round pick. That kind of matched. And by the way, that 6th-round pick is next year, 2023. It's so weird that 2023 is next year. I feel like you say 2023 out loud, that seems like a billion years in the future. It doesn't feel like next year. Not even next year. It's just like a few months away. But Robert Woods, that was kind of one of the lowest amounts of return that you could get on a player before the 2022 draft, was a 2023 6th-round pick, but that's all it took for the Tennessee Titans to acquire Robert Woods. All right, then there was the big Tyreek Hill trade. The Miami Dolphins traded for him. They gave up, obviously, their 1st, their 2nd, and their 4th-round picks in this past draft that we've already had, and then their 4th and their 6th-round picks in next year's draft. So a huge haul for Tyreek Hill. Again, nobody's saying that Amari Cooper's in the same realm as Tyreek Hill or as Davante Adams or not, but let's continue to move on. Then the Dolphins, who also had signed Cedric Wilson, by the way, in free agency, turn around and they send Devontae Parker to the New England Patriots and recoup a 3rd-round pick, although that's next year in 2023. So while it was 2023, not 2022, Devontae Parker's going for a 3rd-round pick. All right, Cowboys couldn't even get a 5th on its own. Like, it wasn't even just a 5th that the Cowboys got. I mean, I guess you could look at it that way because they did improve their 6th-round pick, but still, Miami gets a 3rd-round pick for Devontae Parker when Amari Cooper couldn't go for that on his own. Then on the night of the NFL draft, the Philadelphia Eagles trade for A.J. Brown. They send their 1st-round pick this past year, which became obviously Treylon Burks, and a 3rd-round pick this past year. So A.J. Brown, who I think we all think is a better receiver than Amari Cooper, goes for a 1st-round pick and a 3rd-round pick. Shortly after that, the Baltimore Ravens send Marquise Hollywood Brown to the Arizona Cardinals, all right? And, I mean, like, all of a sudden now everything's kind of flying off. That went for a 1st-round pick. And so that wasn't enough. We do have 2 more to talk about, just so you're aware. The Las Vegas Raiders sent Bryan Edwards to the Atlanta Falcons for a 5th-round pick next year, which is closer in line to the Amari Cooper compensation. And then the New England Patriots very recently sent N'Keal Harry to the Chicago Bears for a 7th-round pick in 2024, which, again, is a very long time from now. So all this to say, it's difficult, and I've today is Wednesday, August 24th, in case you didn't get that memo. And I've had a lot of conversations with friends and things like that on Twitter, just kind of talking this out loud, because something that people tell me a lot in my mentions is get over it already, get over it. And I don't think that it's fair to say you have to get over something. And I don't mean to sit here and just complain and whatnot, because we all believe in CeeDee Lamb. We're hopeful about Michael Gallup. We're hopeful about James Washington. We're hopeful about Jalen Tolbert this rookie season. But I don't see how you can look at all of those trades that happen, how you can look at what the Eagles effectively got. Granted, that did take 2 trades. I don't know how you can look at that and feel like the Cowboys didn't do a terrible job here. Now, you can make an argument that the Cowboys were fed up with Amari. They wanted to trade him no matter what, et cetera, so they were just going to do it. They just wanted to do it. My response to that would be, you cannot allow yourself to get emotionally compromised like that. Fine, you did not want Amari Cooper on this team. Okay, but you have to decide what's the best for this team. What makes this team better? And there's no question. I don't know how you rank Amari Cooper. I don't even know how I rank Amari Cooper. If I had to rank the top 10 receivers in the NFL, I think Amari's challenging for 10th, 9th maybe. I mean, certainly we have seen him take over games. We know that as Dallas Cowboys fans, that Amari Cooper is very capable of completely and totally just obliterating an entire secondary. But maybe that won't happen in the future. Maybe his best days truly are behind him. Obviously, there was the question of availability and whatnot, but you have to decide, is Amari Cooper somebody who makes your football team better? If the answer is yes, then I think you have to try to figure it out. And to the Cowboys' credit, they obviously did down the tail end of last season. But if the answer is no, you have to move on. But I think the people who are still upset about this, I think the common problem, the common gripe with the Cowboys is how heavily and how overly they publicized the fact that they wanted to move on from Amari. You cannot tell me if we establish a spectrum, and if at one end we put Tyreek Hill and Davante Adams, and if at the other end we put Robert Woods and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, right? And, Devontae Parker, if you want. if we had to define that spectrum and we say, where does Amari Cooper fall on this line? Obviously, it's not over here exactly with Davante Adams and Tyreek Hill, but it's not over here either with Robert Woods coming off an ACL, with, Devontae Parker, with J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. No, it's probably somewhere in the middle. Nobody is sitting here saying the Cowboys are fools because they didn't get a first-round pick for Amari Cooper. Nobody feels that way at all. But the fact that they, effectively got a fifth-round pick out of this thing looks really bad. When you look at the fact that Devontae Parker went for more, granted, a year later in 2023, that J.J. Arcega-Whiteside effectively went for, kind of the same thing. The Eagles gave up J.J. Arcega-Whiteside and a seventh-round pick and got a sixth-round pick. That's pretty good, overall roster mechanics by Howie Roseman. And I know a lot of people don't like to give the Eagles props, but Howie Roseman knows how to obtain value. We've seen that with multiple trades over the years, even the way they were able to trade for A.J. Brown. So when you look at Dallas, I don't think it is being a bad fan. I don't think it's harping on things. I don't think it's beating a dead horse to say that every time one of these things happens, it shows how poorly they handled this situation. That's not to say that they're doomed this year. That's not to say that they can't find a way to compete or find a way to still have success in the wide receiver department. But we've sat here, we've had many conversations, you and I, on our roundtable shows. We've done other videos, had multiple conversations on our podcast network about how the Cowboys need to go out and get some veteran help at receiver right now because Michael Gallup's injured and because James Washington's injured. We forget that the Cowboys paid Michael Gallup this offseason, and that was a good decision. Michael Gallup's a very good player, and it's all about the long game with him, right? It's not something worth getting worked up about that he's obviously coming back from injury right now. The fact that you got that deal done with him means he's going to be around the team for a long time, and that was a really good deal that they got done with Michael Gallup. They were able to benefit off of the fact that he was injured, but the part, it's hard to land the Amari Cooper trade wasn't that bad of a thing for the Cowboys when you remember that they didn't do anything. They did one thing that required an answer. Okay, you're going to trade away Amari Cooper. Fine, we'll make our peace with it, right? But you have to do something about it. Had the Cowboys gone out and had the Cowboys brought in some veteran help, and it's still not too late. They still can do something like that. But had they landed on their feet, then we would be sitting here saying, you know what? Man, that sucks that the value wasn't great. Maybe you could have gotten a third or fourth round pick like Devontae Parker, whatever the case may be. But at least you hedged your bet. At least you took care of things so that you weren't left without. Because right now, they're just without. That's who they are. They're just a receiver group without Amari Cooper. And you cannot say that that's better just because you want it to be. It doesn't mean that they're terrible. It doesn't mean that they're worse in the NFL. But last week when CeeDee Lamb had the foot cut during the Chargers practice, it was kind of an indication of what this group will look like if he has to miss time for whatever reason across the season. So, look, I'm not here to just sit and talk about how the Cowboys lost the Amari Cooper trade. I do think if you have to pick a winner and a loser from that trade, I think the Cowboys lost. But ultimately, I think that, look, they didn't handle this well, but it's not too late. And that's the part that I come back to. It's not too late, Cowboys. You can still figure this out. There's still veteran players who can help you, who can add some sort of assistance to you while you're in this plight, while these players are injured. Will Fuller, maybe you think he has lost his step. I know we've been talking about him forever. Cole Beasley is a name. T.Y. Hilton's a name. Emmanuel Sanders is a name. Odell Beckham Jr. is a name if you want to play that long game. But you cannot tell us that this group is what you wanted to do, that this was the plan. And that's part of, again, the whole, it's about the whole situation. You trade away Amari, fine. You want to clear up that salary cap space. That's another thing that we haven't even touched on is that, the Cowboys thought that Amari Cooper was making too much money. He was making $20 million a year. That's not even top 10 money in the NFL at receiver anymore. All of these receivers that were traded, basically, not every single one, obviously, but all these receivers, Davante Adams, Tyreek Hill, got new deals. Cooper Kupp, got a new deal. Who am I missing off the top of my head? I mentioned Cooper Kupp. I'm already blanking. Stephon Diggs got a new deal. DK Metcalf got a new deal. Deebo Samuel. All these receivers got money and money and money that continued to make the Amari Cooper trade look better and better and better. So if you do want to say the Cowboys failed at one particular thing, it was not understanding the receiver market as a whole. Not because you can make the argument that maybe they were fed up with Amari Cooper because they felt like he was making a lot of money. They were unable, at the very least, to see that was not going to be a lot of money for much longer. And so maybe they'd feel better about the fact that they had Amari Cooper on their team right now, knowing that he wasn't making top 10 money in the NFL. Maybe they wouldn't. Maybe they just really, really, really wanted to move on. But Either way, it was just kind of another day that added to the weirdness and a conversation I thought was worth having. And so I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy all of our conversations here. I know I enjoy speaking with you. My name is RJ Ochoa. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at RJ Ochoa, on TikTok at RJ.Ochoa. You can email me if you'd like, RJ.Ochoa at SBNation.com. You can always leave a comment down below. Tomorrow we'll have some more practice things to kind of get, in the rearview mirror, and we'll have a preseason game to look forward to. On Thursday, we will actually have a video with the things that we want to see from Friday night's preseason finale between the Dallas Cowboys and the Seattle Seahawks. But for now, we bid you adieu. I hope you have a great day. I hope you have something great for dinner, and thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next time.